Alright, we're going to be doing quick 5-10 minute team recaps for their seasons and kind of what we expect them to do in the future, kind of what they need to address in their off season. So we're going to be starting off with the worst team in the league, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Anyone else remember one of our first podcast episodes when the season first started and the Jaguars won their first game and we're like, you know what, the Jaguars might win a couple games, might be a little sneaky. Then they lost 15 straight and became the worst team in the league. Yep. The Jaguars stunk. Stunk just enough to be better at stinking than the Jets were. And steal the first overall pick. So, we now get to talk about the problems that need to be addressed for the Jaguars in the offseason, which is pretty much every single spot ever. They did get a new head coach in the disgusting Urban Meyer, which obviously people from Florida love him, but sorry, you cover up you cover up the stuff you covered up, bro. I'll never like you as a person. It's completely separate from the fact that he's an Ohio State coach. Just the stuff that he did was just shady as heck. So leave it at that.
Also,
I don't like the guy.
they need to get someone not named Urban Meyer.
We'll see how he does in the NFL. He's a very good college coach, but even in his last days of playing college, he was constantly hurting and not really able to coach because he was not able to be even available. But you know what? Honestly, it's probably a step up for the Jaguars because it's the Jaguars. They needed to do something. Mitch has a list of kind of the acquisitions they've made over the offseason thus far.
Some trades that there's acquisitions essentially.
Say you're gonna go ahead and go over those. If you,
yeah, it's kind of herky-jerky on my end, but so I mean, honestly, there is a lot of for a couple of these teams. There's quite a bit actually pause, but well, I mean, you can still hear me, so right?
partially,
kind of, maybe. I don't know. All right, well, I guess I'll just get going, and hopefully it catches up with me eventually. Anyways, I'm just gonna go over the big signings that they've made because there's a lot to go over with the Jaguars. So, really, one of the biggest ones for them is their signing of Shaquille Griffin, corner from the Seattle Seahawks, signed him to a 3-year deal for $44.5 million. I think that's a big one for Jacksonville. Definitely increases their talent at the cornerbacking position, which is obviously something that they could use. I mean, like you said, they pretty much can use just about anything at this point. But
considering how many points per game they pretty much gave up.
Yeah.
When you give up 41 points, to the Chicago Bears, that's not good.
They also signed Carlos Hyde to a 2-year deal for $6 million. I don't see any. There is no other running back on here, so I'm guessing that's their short-term, long-term running back solution, which is interesting to say the least. I wonder what they're gonna do with their second-round pick. Of course, they have the number 1 pick. They'll be taking Trevor Lawrence, but who do they take in the second round? Because I'm pretty sure they have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, so they have a pretty good amount of draft capital. I'm curious what they're going to use those picks on.
I would assume
where they'll place it.
I would assume at least probably a tight end, and maybe another kind of defensive lineman, maybe another receiver, just because all they really have is DJ Clark or DJ Chark.
Well, they actually signed 2 ex-Lions, Jamal Agnew and Marvin Jones.
Oh, okay. So they're looking.
So they have something now to receiving core. Marvin Jones is a huge upgrade.
Yes, that's definitely.
Receiver.
Though I do say tight end is something they do need to address.
Yeah, that I think who I really like for Jacksonville, a guy that's a sneaky pick is Fryermuth, tight end from Penn State, Pat Fryermuth.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Kyle Pitts is the number one guy at tight end. He'll probably go to the Falcons, in my opinion. But I think a sneaky pick for Jacksonville would be Pat Fryermuth. I liked him in Penn State. He was a very good player. He was a problem for the Big Ten.
I was about to say we didn't like him, but we liked his talent.
Yeah. Of course, it says the Jaguars also signed C.J. Beathard. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. I guess maybe they want to get rid of Gardner Minshew. Who knows? Or maybe they want to keep him. They want to have Beathard and Minshew battle off. I have no idea. Of course, they franchise tag Cam Robinson as their best. Probably their best tackle on the offensive line. That's a big move for them. They've also signed Tyler Shantley, offensive guard. Like I said, there's a lot of names on here. Adam Gaddis, who they re-signed, probably does some backup of some sort. Never heard of him before.
Yeah, it's depressing to think that this team, like 3 or 4 years ago, was in the AFC Championship game.
Well, I think this year this team is going to take a big step forward. They won't be they're not going to be 1-15 next season. I can almost promise you.
They'll be 2-14. Just kidding.
They should be a lot better.
I think they'll probably, with a good upgrade, should be within the 3 to 6 win range. I think maybe like their cap ceiling in a first year with like a Trevor Lawrence in the first year would be like a 7-9. Absolute ceiling 8-8, but safely within the 3 to 6 range for wins.
I'd say that's fair. They've also traded for defensive tackle Malcolm Brown. They sent the New Orleans Saints a 7th round pick. I mean, they need defensive linemen, so makes total sense. They re-signed Dewan Smoot. That's a pretty good player. I like Dewan Smoot. Jayad Ward, I guess that's a backup. Roy Robertson Davis, defensive tackle. Daniel Ross. Yeah, I'm not going to go over the rest of these. Who really cares?
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
Well, except for Rashawn Jenkins. They signed him to a big deal. 4 years, $35 million. It's a pretty good safety.
But yeah, I mean, the nice thing for this team is they're not in an incredibly tough division. I wouldn't say it's the easiest division, but it's not like you have any like Super Bowl contenders in this division, unless like Tennessee makes a crazy move that puts them in fixes to some of their small problems.
Well, the Colts with a good offense is very dangerous because that defense is incredibly good. And if Carson Wentz returns to his pre-injury form and he looks like the Pro Bowler that he was, that's going to be a pretty dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Jacksonville, it could be worse for Jacksonville. They could be like the Bengals, and they could be stuck in the NFC North, or the AFC North, with the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns all being decent to good, to really good.
Or they could be stuck in the NFC West.
Where every team is at least good. Yeah, no, I mean, they got Houston, which obviously Houston is very, very, very quickly crashing and burning before our eyes. But I think Jacksonville's...
They have their best player has some issues of his own, not to mention that he wants to leave.
Everyone wants to leave Houston. But yeah, no, I mean, Jacksonville, I mean, it's going to take a while. I'm not going to say you're going to turn it around right off the bat, but obviously having a couple high picks this year, you can get some good things settled. Obviously getting a couple defensive things settled up, some new wide receivers. Honestly, a pretty decent offseason for the Jaguars. I'm intrigued to see what steps they take next year and to kind of see where they go. But honestly, it could have been a worse offseason. Considering you were the worst team in the league, you got a couple good people to come to your team. It's nice that you're in Florida, too.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a good start for Jacksonville. Obviously, middle of a rebuild. They brought over the Lions offensive coordinator, so he's over in Jacksonville now. And of course, he brought a couple Lions with him, so that's definitely a plus for Jacksonville. And it's definitely a good start to what will be probably a couple years of a few years of a rebuild there down there in Jacksonville.
But it might be a quick one. But who knows? It's also the Jaguars. All right, that's it for the Jaguars. We're going to be doing 2 videos a day because we have to, or else it won't be released in time for the NFL draft. So get ready for a lot of videos. Peace.